Here.
Nancy Hopper.
Present.
Katie Jess. John Prouty.
Here.
Melissa Smith.
Present. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will take that.
It was close.
It was close. Okay, you have before you previous minutes for the meeting of June 30th. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown.
Aye.
Rob Cruz.
I'll abstain. I wasn't present for that meeting.
Amy Grantham.
Aye.
Nancy Hopper.
Aye.
John Prouty.
Aye.
Melissa Smith.
Aye. Next, we have the agenda in front of you. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown.
Aye.
Rob Cruz.
Aye.
Amy Grantham.
Aye.
Nancy Hopper.
Aye.
John Prouty.
Aye.
Melissa Smith.
Aye. Next, we have the opportunity for the audience. Would anyone like to publicly comment? Okay. Next, we have the reports of the board. Chris?
I don't.
Nancy?
I'm just announcing that Region 1 is having their fall meeting. It will be August 22nd in Akron, so I plan on attending that if anyone else would like to go. I think it's 5:30, they'll serve dinner, and then I think we're doing a tour of the Akron, one of the buildings in Akron, but it'll be interesting.
I think I might want to go to that as well.
Okay.
Okay. I also have a report if no one else does. I would just like to say that we had a superb meeting last Monday. Once again, this board makes me very happy. We discussed the pros and cons of a possible 4-day school week. We listened to some very wonderful people from Brighton, Dr. Chris Fiedler, the superintendent, Kathy Roybal, the representative for the teachers union in Brighton, and Andy Pippin, who is the HR manager. And then we got some assignments as to looking into more research on the 4-day week so that we can all feel very prepared to make a decision, probably sometime this fall. And one of the assignments is for Mr. Sanders to get us some community input. So we will look forward to all of that. That's the only report I have. Anyone else? Good. Moving on to Superintendent Report, our first one from Mr. Sanders.
It is the first one. Oh, my goodness. So in your packet there, you could see that, first of all, I'd like to tell you that this is day 7, I believe, on the job, and I actually really enjoying it, having a great time, and just really appreciate getting to know some people, spending some time getting to know board members, getting to know directors, principals, some teachers. And it's just been really nice so far. It's been a good change for me, so I really appreciate it. A couple things that came up today that you might want to know. We have been working on getting the middle school band position filled. As you know, we had a couple that decided that they had they had a family emergency that they had to back out of the job. And so we met as an administrative team to try to figure out what we were going to do with that. And we came up with about 5 or 7 thoughts. And then we were going to call in the music teachers for this Thursday and say, here's our really bad ideas as an administrative team, teasing. But we need to hear some input from you guys. And so in the process, though, we started talking, and we discovered we had a teacher over at Columbine who was really interested in the middle school band program, and so we talked to her today. She accepted the transfer. We found out that we have a teacher over at Pioneer who is also musically inclined and wanted to go over to Columbine, and so she agreed to be transferred over there. And then we also talked to Sandra Bills about our staffing patterns and how many kids were in each grade, and found that we might be one teacher heavy over at Green Acres, and we decided to transfer a new staff member from Green Acres to Pioneer, which covers all bases. And during that time, we'll leave that position open in case we need, because we still have another position there. But right now, we feel pretty confident that she's going to enjoy that position. Matter of fact, she said it was her dream job, honestly. So it was really a good experience, and now I get to go tomorrow and let the music teachers know that we not only value their input, but we don't unfortunately need it at this point, but we'll ask again if we ever need it. But that we want to send the message that we really care about the arts, in particular music, and in this case, because it's very important to the community, very important to me, and we want to do everything we could to make sure we preserve the program. So that is done. And then we have a sound system that needs to be replaced over at Pioneer. It's, I just want you to know, it's about a $13,000 to $15,000 proposition. We're looking at receiving bids right now. I do believe we'll get a winning bid at some point, but I'm not 100% sure it's going to be able to be installed until Christmas break sometime is my guess, but we'll find out. And then we looked at 2 positions, and I wanted you to be aware. The gifted and talented coordinator was a full-time position, and then we advertised it as a part-time with the alternative licensure director. When we started looking at it, we started talking about the fact that we need to service all of our students, and so we decided at that point to put that gifted and talented coordinator back to a full-time position. And then I really looked at this alternative licensure director. It's going to be a director position, and I want you to be aware of that, because this is a grant position that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be fully funded, but it's going to be a good portion funded through a grant. But we wanted to become the alternative licensure center for teachers in our area. We actually have a couple from neighboring school districts who are interested in coming over. We can have some of our J1 visa teachers get in the program. We have some of our own that are going to be in the program. But I wanted to have job-alike kinds of things combined, and so we looked at the fact that we have 2 new principals in the district. We have a couple assistant principals that are going to be new, and we needed to look at their support. And sometimes you need somebody to talk to that's not your supervisor, and I get that. And so it really felt right to switch that position around to be the 3/4 alternative teacher license director, and then also to mentor our new principals and help them along the path. And so we're going to start posting that position tomorrow. We haven't changed it yet. I just want to make you guys aware that that's what we're looking at doing. So I think, oh, and then as far as the CASB Region 1, if you'll just get a hold of me, send me an email, we'll get you registered, and we'll all go over as a group, or if you want to, or that's how I've always done it in the past. And I think they always have some good content there, and at any time we can get together as a board and learn, I think it's great. So any questions for me? No, thank you.
Thank you. Next is the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Praska.
Well, Rob did a great job about talking about the alternative program, but so we are launching that August 1st. Believe it or not, it's less than 2 weeks away. So in lieu of knowing we're probably not going to have a director, I am prepared to be, I'm preparing that content for the boot camp as we speak, and really excited about having, we have teachers from K-12. So it'll be really interesting and really exciting to get them together to learn like their first 3 days before they launch into the next days of new learnings. But we're going to be covering everything from really like classroom management, how to set up your classroom, what a classroom structure looks like, an engaged classroom, standards and instruction. It'll be a pretty robust 3 days, and just So if you get an inkling, the 1st through the 3rd, we're going to be here in the boardroom from 8 to 4, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then the only other update I had really quickly is, as you know, Brian and I have been having our semi-weekly, bi-weekly powwows with Salud. And last week, we, on Wednesday, Rob, Brian, and I had the opportunity. They brought the whole team of Salud. The construction is done. The renovations are done. You will not believe what that building looks like. It looks great. And so we had our meeting today, and we're looking at doing a district-wide open house before a community open house. And we're going to schedule that on August 11th from 3:30 to 4:30, just so you as board members, district employees can see the facility. We're super excited. They have not been able to secure a full-time medical provider at this time. However, we are going to have a physician's assistant available 2 days a week to start with. We have a full-time behavioral health, and then, of course, our dental Smiles project, which has been going throughout the summer. I was at Columbine today. They were seeing patients, which is really awesome. But that building looks really great, like a clinic. And so we're also preparing with Salud the flyers to be going out, the communication to families. We're kind of leaning in on Salud to put that stuff together for us. And so that should be ready by the time registration rolls around. So I will send a follow-up email as soon as they get the flyer for staff, so you're invited to that open house.
Question, just because this is the back-to-school time frame, will they eventually do like the sports physical?
Yes.
Yay.
And in fact, I really advocated for them to launch, that would be a great launch, is to start with physicals, but because because everyone's short on medical staff, I get that. They weren't able to pull that off. But next year, we've already talked, it's that would be a really great thing to offer for our students.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to have, for the freshman open house, Clint and I talked today about having that facility open just during the freshman open house to start with, and then doing a community open house, and so more people can start seeing that facility, get used to hearing. We talked a little bit briefly today about what the name of the clinic is going to be, and right now it's just the Student-Based Health Center, but there's talk, and Salud will have to talk to their team about potentially if we could have students involved in maybe naming a facility, some of those healthcare students who are interested in health career, being somewhat ambassadors for knowing that facility is available. So their opening day for students and staff will be the first day of school, August 17th. Operating hours right now will be 7:30 to 4:30.
Thank you. Next, we have Chief Financial Officer in lieu of Ms. Miller. We have Ms. Halpern.
Yes, thank you. The only thing that I really had to present, or that Tony asked me to present, was which coincides with your board policy that you're going to be reviewing or looking at today, and that is the per diem rate for our employees. It has not been updated for several years, and with the increase of prices of everything, it does need to be increased. So we went out and looked at what the average per diem rate was for Colorado, and I believe you have that in your packet as well. But we decided to at this point in time to go with the standard rate, which would be $13 for breakfast, $15 for lunch, and $26 for dinner. So if you have any other questions, or if you feel that we need to go lower than that or higher than that.
Talk to Tony.
Yeah, talk to Tony. We just thought that would be a good starting point to keep that increased.
Thank you, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Human Resources Director, Dr. Childers.
Great, thank you. We are in the middle of hiring season and hopefully wrapping that up. 42 is the number today. I'm hoping that does not change. But we'll, knock on wood and, throw salt over our shoulders and all that good stuff. In terms of tonight, you're going to take a look at the disposal of 2 buses that are beyond their lifespan. We included in there an exemplar of someone who's already interested in those assets. Please know also that if you're approving of the sale of those assets, that we will post those for bids for anybody in the community who is interested. And so if this person comes forward with an actual bid, then that's how we'll handle that. But know that that when we dispose of assets like that, we do it in a public way where we post it and then anybody can have access to those. So there you go.
Thank you, Vern. Moving on to discussion items. Discussion item A is additional courses added to the Fort Morgan High School registration guide for the 2022-2023 school year. Who's discussing that particular item?
You know, if you have any questions, I did ask you, Mr. Anderson, come, but I know there's 4 courses here we're looking at approving, and we had a conversation about them, but I would think it comes better from the horse's mouth.
Thank you. Well, we put up the course recommendation guide before we started our scheduling process, but once, kind of getting towards the end of the school year, looking at our staffing, looking what students were like, hey, there's an interest in this area. We've added these 4 courses. For example, the French one of our Spanish teachers that we've hired also has a background in French. We currently offer Spanish and German. We thought, hey, this could be a good opportunity. Some of our students have a background in French, so we could kind of look at that and try to start that process. Video production 2, we offered that video production 1 this year. There was a high interest in that, and they wanted to take a second year, so we added that course. Same thing with STEM 2. We eventually are going to have STEM 1, 2, and 3, and 4, to where a student can take 4 years of STEM. And each year it gets more specific into the projects. So with this being the second year for the STEM lab at the high school, we would like to add on a secondary course. The capstone intervention, for the menu of options, we have a wide range of options for students. The capstone intervention would be a class where the students would work on the capstone. Capstone is kind of a safety net, I would say, every student takes the SAT. Every student gets an opportunity to take the AccuPlacer. We do work keys. We do industry certificates. Thank you. We have all the menu of options, but at some point, if a student hasn't met one of those options, we would like to kind of get a capstone class where the students can kind of prepare a capstone.
Do we not have that in the 11th grade? I thought we did.
So that was originally, it was in the advisory period, and what we found was not all students are in advisory, but not all students need the capstone to meet the menu of options. We actually have it's a very small percentage of our students meeting the menu of options under capstone. They meet it, I would say one of the most popular ones were industry certificates, SAT, and the ACT, the work keys test. Those would be the ones that kind of rise to the top. So this is it's for a smaller select group of students that may not do as well on some standardized tests, or may not have taken some of the MCC classes or CTE classes.
Okay.
So if French 1 took off, we would look at offering advanced courses.
Yes, yes, we would. It would be similar. We would come back with like French 2, French 3, if that becomes an interest. That's about it. No. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Glenn. Discussion item B is disposal of buses, transportation department. Brian already kind of alluded to that. If you have anything else.
How are we doing?
Good. You?
Good. I'm only proposing to sell these buses because I had somebody step forward that was interested in the buses. Otherwise, they were just going to sit there till we really got some more buses, and then we knew we would be way jammed up on units. What I was hoping for was that the auctions would open up, because that's actually a better outlet for us. We can actually get more money out of them, but the Mexican border is still closed, and they're charging too much tariffs. So this fellow stepping forward with the numbers that he stepped forward with was better than what we would get out of an auction. So I thought, well, maybe we'll pursue this. And Brian said, we got to open up to the public. That's fine. If somebody else bids, and that's even better for us. But I really wasn't expecting to sell buses. The Pete's thing kind of took me by surprise, and this guy walking up, and then another guy walked in today and said, "Are you selling buses?" And I said, "Well, I'll take your name for backup." So I'll contact them. If you all approve that, I'll contact them, say, look for the bids, get the bids in, and we'll go from there. But I wasn't really expecting to sell. I wasn't actively trying to sell buses. It just fell into our lap. So I was like, well, let's take it and run with it. So take that for what it's worth.
So what I can tell you about some of this is that, one of the big things we've worked on in the smaller school arena, especially now being a larger school here, is that a lot of times they can't afford a bus, a brand new bus. And so right after the bus was sold from Fort Morgan to Pete's, I know Jeff Durbin there very well. He came in, he said, "Your new employer just sold me a bus." And they were so appreciative of it, and they really liked the fact that we were willing to work with them and not just turn around and sell this. So I really like the idea of helping our neighbors out if we can. So,
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion item C is policy DKC-R, expense authorization reimbursements, the first reading. Do we have any discussion? It's pretty much what you just said.
last time it was approved was 1980. Looks like. Looks like down there on the bottom on it. Oh, no, I see, there it is. I just saw the one right there. It said 1980. I'm like, wow, that's a while ago.
Okay. Next, we are moving on to the consent agenda. We have personnel action report, and we have a list of checks. What is the pleasure of the board for May and June? What is the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Am I assuming correctly that Mr. Campbell will become certificated if he gets that?
That is the original conversation we had, and that's why we placed him on the pay scale where we did. And I think he's already going to enroll in either our program or if there's another, Regis, I believe.
Both Nicole and Bob will be in our alternative principal prep program.
Perfect.
Yes.
And if I can ask a quick question, the kindergarten long-term substitute, are those, they're kindergarten teachers or kindergarten paras?
Those are, sorry. We've got, I believe that's a maternity leave that is being, long-term sub for maternity leave.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. We're moving on to action items. Action item A is additional courses for the Fort Morgan High School registration guide for the 22-23 school year. It's the pleasure of the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. Action item B is disposal of 2 buses. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I just want to say thank you for seeing that through. It's wonderful. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Brown?
Aye.
Rob Cruz?
Aye.
Amy Grantham?
Aye.
Nancy Hopper?
Aye.
John Proudy?
Aye.
Melissa Smits?
Aye. Next is advanced planning. The 2022 CASE conference is July 27th through 29th in Breckenridge, Colorado. Are you going?
Yes, ma'am. Be my 26th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you started when you were so young.
I am only, what, 30? I guess I was 4 when I started.
The 22-23 beginning of the school year schedule is attached. The first day of the 22-23 school year is Wednesday, August 17th, and I'm glad we have no students in the room that I had to say that to. And the next Board of Education meeting is August 15th, and I think it's possible if we don't need a work session before that, that we might have Randy Zila come and do the Case
Potentially,
5
yes.
before the meeting. Before the regular meeting, we would have them come, so we don't have to do another meeting.
That sounds great.
If there's no other action to come before the board, we are adjourned at 7:25 PM.
The board meeting.
Holy cow.